Hey everyone, this is Jamie. Thank you so much for being a part of this video today. Today I want to talk about Slimline Dies, these most particularly from Scrapbook.com. And I have done a couple of projects already with these, and I just want to take some time and share with you exactly how they came into existence. For example, I've done this tag mini album, and the cover is created using the Moroccan tile Slimline dies. I've also done these as backgrounds on my scrapbook layouts. You can see here how I've used the rose bloom and kept the elements inside, the die cut negative elements inside of the positive. And I've used it here. This is another use of the Moroccan tile die. And I've gone and I popped up the negative pieces. And so what is so great about these Slimline dies? Not only are they typically for that whole slimline card making craze that's going on right now, but these are just must-have cover plates that are great for, as you can see, mini albums. They're great for your scrapbook layouts. The dies are about 3.5 by 8.5 in their dimensions. And so they're perfect for like the storyline chapters inserts like I showed you here. They just fit really great in here. They fit, of course, on a slimline card base perfectly. But let's start from one of the things I wanted to try first, and that was to make a tag album cover with vellum and the Moroccan tiles die. You can see I have already pre-cut some tags, and I used the Scrapbook.com exclusive nested tag die set to make these. And then instead of just making another tag, I wanted to use the Moroccan tile die with vellum to craft a cover for the mini tag album. So this is how this went. I've cut my vellum down to about 4 inches wide. I'm going to take the mint tape and wrap it around the die and the vellum here at the very edge. Now the reason for this is I'm going to use my Sizzix die cutting machine. The Magic Mat is just about 8.5 inches wide, so it just barely fits the whole entire die on its surface. But that's okay, because what I'll do is I'll run it through twice. Let me show you how this works. I'll run it through with the top part of the die about 1/2 inch down on the mat. Then when I get to the end, I won't take the die off of the Magic Mat. I'll just scoot this down and run it back through again. And that way this part of the die gets cut as well. After the die cut vellum is cut out, it's going to go as a cover on the tag album, right? So I'm going to line this up. Punch a hole in the top of them all after I line them up well. But of course you can see that the vellum part is just a little tall for the whole entire album, right? So easy to fix. We're going to trim this off at about, what is that? Maybe for this particular tag album, maybe 2 inches. But then what happens is not only do we have left an unfinished edge, but there's no way to hang it with the rest of the tag. So in order to make this be able to hang here with the rest of these tags, I'm taking a scrap piece of paper. It's about 1 3/4. Actually, I'm going to trim it down so that it's 1 inch wide. I'm going to take the score tool and score it halfway, so about 1/2 inch, and fold that over. And it's going to then fold over here at the top, and I'll trim it down, but it's going to make a nice finished edge that I can also punch a hole in and add it to the tag album. Using Scrapbook.com's 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive tape, I'm going to add probably to both sides of the fold, I'm going to add a strip of the adhesive. Just want to make sure that when it gets secured to the tag that it's not going to then pull away. So now we have plenty of adhesive on our little scrap piece of paper. It's probably easiest just to lay this flat on the table. Probably easiest to lay in the vellum piece as close to the fold as you possibly can, and then fold it over. Take your scissors, trim that little edge up there. So now the paper is the same width as the vellum cover. I'm going to use this to kind of eyeball where I want the hole punch to go. I will mark that, line it up inside of my punch. And now you can see the edge of the vellum is going to be nicely reinforced. And now I can take a book ring and all my tags, connect them together, layer them from largest to smallest. And then with the vellum cover, now good and reinforced, with our paper cover, pattern paper cover. And that is just one way to make a cover for a tag mini album using vellum and a slimline die. You could use any of the dies. I just particularly love the Moroccan tile die. Great see-through. Now you're ready to add photos and embellish each of these tags as well as your cover. The next way I want to use the slimline die is on a traditional scrapbook page. Well, I say traditional. It's going to be about a 7.5 by 9-inch page, which I already have. Piece of cardstock cut out for that size. This time I'm going to use the Scattered Hearts slim die, which is just super cute. I just love this. It's the die that keeps on giving, because look here, I've already cut a piece from the boho smooth cardstock, which is already the 3.5 by 8.5 inch sized cardstock. So it's perfectly paired with the slimline dies. And you can see I use this really pretty, it's sort of this apricot pink, real muted fun tone. But I have left over all these hearts, so we're going to make use of them as well. So to build this page, I am going to want to layer the slimline die cut here on the background. If you follow me on my YouTube channel, I am a fan of not completely adhering elements flat and harsh to the background. So in order to keep this a little loose on the page without it leaving the page, I'm using the 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive, and I'm adding strips just in a couple of places, but I'm working to make sure I avoid the cutout hearts. So I'm just going to take the backer paper off. I like to use a tool, a picker tool, to do that. It just makes it a little easier. And those 3 strips are going to be plenty to adhere this to this background. But, you know, I still have a little bit of give and a little bit of play here. Next, we're going to do something just a little tricky. I have my photo here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to line it up just about right here. I'm going to lightly mark where my corners are going to live here on this background. But I'm going to go back in here and find some of these bigger hearts. It's going to be a little tricky here, but I think we can make this work. I have here the 1/8 inch foam adhesive. I'm going to add a small trimmed out piece. And what's so great about these strips of the 1/8 inch foam is that you can make them any length you need, just perfectly for this kind of an idea. I have a very small heart embellishment here, and I want to be able to sort of hide the adhesive on the back, right? But I want to have this effect of popping up here on my page. So I'm going to get a couple more of these, see if I can get the big ones to fit here. So I'm going to add a few more of these to my background. All right, that's a super subtle effect, but it's super sweet. And be sure and try this on a card as well. And just have fun. You can do this with many of the Slimline dies. They all have negative pieces. These are the negative pieces. This larger part is your positive piece. So save them. And then even at some other time, you could use these just even as a background on your page. And this might still end up there. To finish this page up, I'm going to move my photo again. I'm going to line up just to add a little bit more detail in terms of pattern on the back of this, on this background. I'm just going to add a strip of washi tape here. I'm also going to use a strip of the 1/4 inch foam adhesive on the back of my photo because I want it to also pop up on the page. Just give it a little bit more interest here. Then I'm going to scoot it over a little bit. And watch how the rest of this page comes together. Paying careful attention to the fact that these Slimline dies just are beautiful even on a scrapbook page. The last way I want to share with you a different way to use the Slimline die is how I showed you on this scrapbook page. Can you see how the negative pieces are still intact? Let me show you how that came together. I'm using the Rose Bloom. I think this is a great die because of the larger sizes of the negative in here. And I'm going to use it with a textured cardstock. I've run the die through the Sizzix Big Shot, and I've left it as intact as I possibly can. You can see I have a couple of negatives that have popped out, and that's okay. We're going to be able to fix that. What we're going to do is we're going to take the 2-inch, let's remove our extra piece of paper here so it doesn't get in the way. I'm going to take the 2-inch double adhesive roll from Scrapbook.com, lay it over the back of the die. Try not to let this stick to your surface, else get and work this on a nonstick mat. That would probably have been a really smart thing for me to do right now. Go ahead and cut that rough. Don't worry about how smooth that is. You could leave this on and layer the second piece on the second half here. It just creates a little bit of extra texture on the other side, which you might not want. So this is a little tricky. Just take your time pulling that adhesive off and then do the same thing on this extra little part here that's not been covered yet with the adhesive. And then when you are finished with this, you're going to be able to flip it over and add those negative pieces back into where they're missing. It helps to use scissors that have a non-stick finish on their blades. And that way your adhesive doesn't stick to the blades, but just be mindful. If they don't, then just be careful to clean those when you're all done. But let's go ahead and take the other backing off. Now, while this is still here, I want to take another piece of cardstock and lay it right on top, and then this can be trimmed away also. This way, you know, if you want to pre-make these, they're all ready to go, but then you don't have this huge adhesive-backed die piece. You can still stick it to a card if you need to, or wherever you're going to use it. Now just take your little negatives and just pop them right back into their spaces. And I can tell here I have this little one still in the die, so I'm going to retrieve it and put it in place. And those just pop in there just like that. Okay. Now's a great time to go ahead and trim everything clean off of the edge of your die cut background. Okay, see how beautiful that is? Can you see that texture on there? It's just so pretty. And I love this, like I said, with the rose bloom. It could be used with any of the dies because they all have negatives, right? I just thought this one was particularly beautiful. This background page is, again, one of my favorites. We did this one here today on the video. And of course, everyone's favorite is a tag mini album with a beautiful see-through vellum die cut that is made beautifully by you with all the different Scrapbook.com dies. And I thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask questions below, and I will see you in the next video.